Hey y'all, it's Anime Man. Today I'm going to be reviewing the second episode of Kono Yo no Hate de Koi wo Utau Shoujo you know. And I gotta say, this episode, it wasn't as epic per se as episode 1, but we did make a decent amount of plot progression. Not as much as I would have hoped, but it relatively did a serviceable job, and let me explain why now. This episode, I do like how you have the main character playing around with the device that he has by experimenting things with like this Popsy, which is pretty much just a Pepsi can, and kicking it around and using the device to like travel back in time to test out its capabilities and see how it works. Now, those type of stuff I did like about this episode. Now, here's the thing though. While that scene did a good job of showing off his competency, it's when we go through the next few sequences where I was like, alright, episode, pick up the pace, because then it sets itself up in a situation where Miyu and Takiya's friend pretty much go to this mountain, which he wasn't in the first episode. Then they go to his house and look through the things of his father. And while this episode did have some nice jokes where he was saying stuff like, let's see if we can find anything of my father's porn stash, and I got some chuckles out of that, what did feel kind of lagging was the pace, because there were times where like some of the walking was a bit too long for my taste. And at times it just felt like the episode should have picked up the pace a bit, or in the scene where like he's trying to open something from the drawer and it's stuck, I feel like the writing staff should have like cut things down like that. Instead of like making it something hard to open, just make it easier to open so that the pace can go quicker. And I felt like while some jokes worked, they should have toned it down a bit so that we could have made a bit more plot progression. Because really it felt really draggy for like the first 12, 13 minutes, and I was just waiting for something cool to happen after the engaging first episode. And then aside from that, I do like how, despite the episode being slow for the most part, I do like the last 2 minutes when you get to see him try to deal with like these two men that are muscular looking. And I do like how, realistically speaking, he gets his ass beat the first time. Because he gets his ass beat, pushes the device, gets his ass beat again, and he has like a metal bar, he gets his ass beat again. Uses a motorbike, gets his ass beat again. And I like during all these sequences, I do like how it shows the limitations of his device, because, for one, it shows you that he has to press the device to actually activate it, which pretty much means if his hands are disabled or he's out of commission, then that means if he's ever in a spot like that, he's not going to be able to press the button if he's not careful. So I like how in this sequence, it implies that if he's not careful with the way his arms are treated, he might not be able to press the device to travel back in time in a future episode, because, like the episode implied, he needs to press the button in order for the thing to work. So, for one, I do like how they implicitly increased the tension level, and the cliffhanger near the end raised the stakes, because now at the end, you have the guy that was, that Mio and Takia were talking smack to earlier in the sequence, and now it's going to be interesting, how is he going to factor into all this? Like, is he going to help out Takia and Ayumi, or is he going to help the two thugs that want to steal the research notes? It's all a nice, interesting mystery, so I do like how the episode did end off in an interesting note. And I like how it has themes, too, of how going too far into capitalism is a bad idea, because one of the workers under Ayumi pretty much wants to like tear down like this mountain site that's sort of like a cultural site, and then Miguel argues that you shouldn't do that because it's important for culture. And I like how here it shows off the importance of keeping culture intact, because the episode did show us the beauty of that mountainside and all that, and it would honestly be a shame if that were lost just due to profits or money. So I like how this episode does have its own implicit themes. And I also like how in this episode you get to see like a bond form between Mio and Takia, how at the very least they're talking to each other in a more comfortable tone. So all in all, these were pretty nice elements about this episode from a character standpoint. So despite the story being slow at times, I'd say the characters decently carried the show, and I like how they did use Takia's friend to give us information about the 400-year cycle, where every 400 years Japan is under a revolution. Because for one, due to that kind of information, had Takia's friend not been in there, then it would have seemed like an exposition dump if they didn't have his friend. But since he's there, it feels like it's natural dialogue given out. So this episode, at the very least, also did a good job of somewhat making information come naturally. And the animation and art were pretty decent, and the voice performances were good. So that's why, taking all these factors into consideration, I'm going to rate this episode a 6 out of 10. I thought it was at least above average. And I'm honestly going to eagerly anticipate what's going to happen next. Hopefully, next week is as good as the first episode. So anyways, guys and gals, these are my thoughts on the second episode of this show. Comment down your thoughts in the comment section below. Rate the video, subscribe, and I'll see you all later if you subscribe for more. Alright, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.